One day last autumn, I called upon Sherlock Holmes, who introduced me to a gentleman with fiery red hair, a certain Mr. Jabez Wilson.
How do you do?
How do you do? I tried, after the fashion of Holmes, to guess the circumstances of the man, but he appeared to be a common tradesman. However, when Sherlock Holmes noticed my look, he said,
"Beyond the obvious facts that he has at one time been a labourer, that he takes snuff, is a Freemason, has been to China, and has done much writing lately, I can deduce nothing else."
My goodness!
Both Mr. Wilson and myself were, of course, astounded.
Oh, in the good name of fortune.
Elementary. Your right hand is larger than your left from having worked with it. On your wrist there is a tattoo peculiar to China. On your watch chain a Chinese coin, crumbs of tobacco in your waistcoat, and 5 inches of your right sleeve are shiny from the wear of writing.
Well, I never.
I thought at first you'd done something clever.
Perhaps you'd like to state your case again for my friend Dr. Watson. You see, Watson, it is impossible as yet for me to say whether this case is an instance of crime or not. But our friend here believes that he has been made a fool of by the Red-Headed League.
The Red-Headed League.
Now, Mr. Wilson, please go back to the beginning. Tell us about yourself and the effect which the advertisement had upon your fortunes. You will take a note, Doctor, of the newspaper and the date.
It's the Morning Chronicle of August the 27th, 1890, just 2 months ago.
Watson, will you read this advertisement?
To the Red-Headed League. On account of the bequest of the late Hezekiah Hopkins of Lebanon, Pennsylvania, USA, there is now another vacancy open which entitles a member of the League to a salary of £4 a week for purely nominal services. All red-headed men who are sound in body and mind and above the age of 21 years are eligible. Apply in person on Monday at 11 o'clock to Duncan Ross at the offices of the League, 7 Pope's Court, Fleet Street.
And how did this advertisement come to your attention?
Oh, I have a pawnbroker's business at Coburg Square. It's not a very large affair, and of late years it's not done much more than just give me a living. In fact, it would be difficult for me to pay my assistant, but that he is willing to come for half wages, so as to learn the business.
What is the name of this obliging youth?
Vincent Spaulding. And he's not such a youth neither. I shouldn't want a smarter assistant, Mr. Holmes.
Oh, you are most fortunate. Having an employee who comes under the market price seems as remarkable as your advertisement.
Oh, he has his faults too. Never was such a fellow for photography. He is forever snapping pictures and then diving down into the cellar like a rabbit into its hole to develop them. It was Spaulding who showed me the advertisement 8 weeks ago. With this very newspaper in his hands, he says,
"I wish to the Lord, Mr. Wilson, that I was a red-headed man."
"Why?" I asks.
"Here's a vacancy on the League of Red-Headed Men. It's worth a little fortune to any man who can get it."
I've never heard.
Have you never heard of the League of Red-Headed Men? Why, I wonder at that, for you're eligible yourself for one of the vacancies. The League was founded by the eccentric Hezekiah Hopkins, who was red-headed, and had great sympathy for all red-headed men. He left an enormous fortune with the instructions to apply the interest to the providing of easy employment to selected red-headed men in London. From all I hear, it's splendid pay and very little to do."
Well, Mr. Holmes, I ordered Vincent Spaulding to shut the business up and come right away with me to the address in the advertisement. And what a sight we saw. Pope's Court and Fleet Street was choked with red-headed folk. Spaulding pushed and pulled and battered until he got me through the crowd and right up to the office. There was a double stream on the stair, some going up in hope and some coming back dejected. The interviewer for the job was a Mr. Duncan Ross.
Ah, sir, you are admirably suited for the vacancy. I cannot recall when I have seen red hair so fine. You surely shall have the position.
Oh, good.
But first, I must take one obvious precaution.
Ow! Oh, here, that's my hair you're pulling.
Sorry, Mr. Wilson. We have twice been deceived by wigs and paint.
Oh, indeed. Then Mr. Duncan Ross told me what I'd have to do to earn the £4 a week salary.
You must be in this building from 10 to 2 each day. If you leave but once, you forfeit your old position forever.
Well, it's a little awkward, for I've a business already.
Oh, never mind about that, Mr. Wilson. I shall be able to look after that for you.
Then I will start tomorrow morning.
And what did you do for the Red-Headed League?
It's past belief, Mr. Holmes. But for the next 8 weeks, my job was to copy out the Encyclopaedia Britannica.
Amazing.
I started, of course, upon the letter A, and I was up to Attica when... This morning I arrived to find the League's door locked, and a little square of cardboard hammered to it with a tack. The Red-Headed League is dissolved. October the 9th, 1890. Oh, my. Oh, my. Oh, no. I can't see that there is anything funny. If you can do nothing better than laugh at me, I can go elsewhere.
No, Mr. Wilson. I wouldn't miss your case for the world.
But you were laughing at me.
There is, if you will excuse my saying so, something just a little funny about it. Pray, what steps did you take when you found the card upon the door?
The landlord gave me a forwarding address. But when I got there, it was a manufactory of artificial kneecaps. And no one had ever heard of Mr. Duncan Ross or the Red-Headed League. Mr. Holmes, I don't wish to lose such a good job without a struggle, so I came right to you.
I shall be happy to look into your exceedingly remarkable case. I think it possible that graver issues hang from it than might at first sight appear.
But, Mr. Wilson, this assistant of yours, how did he come, and how long had he been with you when he called your attention to that advertisement for red-headed men?
He came in answer to an earlier advertisement of mine, and he'd been with me for a month.
What is he like?
Small, very quick in his ways, a la-di-da voice, no hair in his face, though he's not short of 30. He has a white splash of acid upon his forehead.
Ah.
And his ears are pierced for earrings.
I thought as much. I have the information I need, Mr. Wilson. Today is Saturday, and I shall give you an opinion by Monday. Watson, put on your hat and let us go to Saxe-Coburg Square. We must be prompt over this matter.
The pawn shop was on a dingy street. Holmes looked the street over carefully as he stood before the shop, then thumped vigorously on the pavement with his stick 3 times. After that, he went up to the door and knocked.
Come in, gentlemen.
Thank you. I only wish to ask how one would go from here to the Strand.
Oh, 3rd right, 4th left.
Thank you. Smart fellow, that. He is, in my judgment, the 4th smartest man in London. And for daring, I am not sure that he has not a claim to be 3rd. I have known something of him before.
Evidently he counts for a good deal in this mystery, and you wanted to see him.
Not him, but the knees of his trousers.
And what did you see?
My dear doctor, this is a time for observation, not for talk. We are spies in an enemy's country. Now let us see what lies behind Saxe-Coburg Square.
At the back of the pawnbrokers. A very different sort of neighborhood indeed.
Let me see. There is a tobacconist, a little newspaper shop, the Coburg branch of the City and Suburban Bank, the vegetarian restaurant, and McFarlane's carriage building depot. I shall want your help tonight at 10, Watson. A serious crime is in contemplation, and I have every reason to believe we shall be in time to stop it. There may be some little danger, so kindly put your army revolver in your pocket.
At 10 that evening.
Watson, I think you know Mr. Peter Jones of Scotland Yard.
Oh, no.
Let me introduce you to Mr. Merriweather, a bank director who's to be our companion in tonight's adventure.
How do you do? I hope a wild goose chase may not prove to be the end of our adventure. This is the first Saturday night in 27 years that I have missed my card game.
You will play for a higher stake tonight, Mr. Merriweather, than you have ever done. some £30,000.
What?
And for you, Mr. Jones, it will be the man upon whom you wish to lay your hands.
Yes, Mr. John Clay, the murderer, thief, smasher and forger. He's the grandson of a royal duke. He's been to Eton and Oxford, and his brain is as cunning as his fingers. We meet signs of him at every turn, and I've been on his track for years, but I've never set eyes upon him yet.
'Tis quite time we started, gentlemen.
By all means, just as you like.
Here we are, Watson.
But this is the street we looked at earlier, around the corner at the back of the pawn shop.
Yes, and Mr. Merriweather will show us how to proceed.
Once we're through the gate, we'll go down a flight of stairs, then through another gate.
We need light.
We'll find a lantern up ahead. There. Now let's continue on. This is the place.
You are not very vulnerable from above.
Nor from below. Why, dear me, it sounds quite hollow.
I really must ask you to be a little more quiet, Mr. Merriweather. You have already imperiled the whole success of our expedition. Might I beg that you would have the goodness to sit down in one of those boxes and not to interfere?
Very well, Mr. Holmes.
Ah, yes. This is what I expected to find here. We have at least an hour before us, for they can hardly take any steps until the good pawnbroker is safely in bed.
Where are we, Holmes?
In the cellar of the city branch of one of the principal London banks. No doubt this vault is a veritable treasure house.
Our reserve of gold is very large right now. We've borrowed 30,000 French Napoleons. You, Dr. Watson, are presently seated upon 2,000 gold coins.
Indeed.
Good heavens.
And now it is time that we choose the positions from which we shall confront these daring men. I shall stand behind this crate. Please conceal yourselves behind those boxes. I'm going to put the screen over the lantern.
We'll be sitting in the dark.
I'm afraid so. But at the crucial moment, I will flash the light and you must close in swiftly. Watson, if they fire, have no compunction about shooting them down. Now I shall put the screen over the lantern.
There followed such an absolute darkness in that cold vault as I'd never experienced before.
Jones, have you done what I asked you?
My men are posted at the front door of the pawn shop.
Good.
We sat silently in the darkness for an hour and a quarter. It gave me time to think about the case. Surely you've been thinking it over too. So let's see if we have answers to some questions. What was the real purpose of the Red-Headed League? Why was Jabez Wilson's assistant working for half the normal wages? Why was he always in the cellar? Why were his knees worn and dirty? Do you know the real identity of Vincent Spaulding? Why was Holmes so interested in the street behind the pawn shop? Why are the men waiting in the dark in the bank cellar now? Why has Holmes asked Jones to have men posted at the pawn shop door? Suddenly, looking over the case I was hiding behind, my eyes caught a glint of light on the floor. Then, without any warning or sound, a gash seemed to open in the floor and a hand protruded out. Then, one of the broad stones turned over on its side, leaving a square, gaping hole through which the light of a lantern shone, and a face peeped out. In another instant, a young man was standing at the edge, hauling after him a companion with very red hair.
It's all clear, Archie. Have you the chisel and the bags?
It's no use, John Clay. You have no chance at all.
Run, Archie! Run for it!
He won't escape. Archie, alias Mr. Duncan Ross, there are men waiting for him at the pawn shop door.
Now then, Clay.
You may not be aware that I have royal blood in my veins. When you address me, always say sir and please.
Well, would you please, sir, march upstairs, sir, where we can get a cab and carry your highness to the police station.
Sir. Really, Mr. Holmes, I do not know how the bank can thank you or repay you.
I had one or two little scores of my own to settle with Mr. John Clay. You see, it was clear that the plan of the Red-Headed League was to get the pawnbroker out of the way every day. Vincent Spaulding, alias John Clay, placed an advertisement for someone who exactly fitted the description of his employer, Mr. Wilson. Then Spaulding or Clay willingly worked at half wages while he dug his tunnel from the pawn shop cellar to the bank vault. I confirmed this by examining his knees. I thought it might be a tunnel, but I couldn't ascertain where to until I saw that the bank was on the street behind Wilson's pawn shop. Then I called upon Scotland Yard and the chairman of the bank directors with the result that you have seen.
How could you tell that they would make the attempt tonight?
Well, when they closed down the Red-Headed League, that was a sign that they had completed their tunnel. Saturday would suit them because it would give them time to escape before the theft was discovered on Monday.
You reasoned it out beautifully, Holmes.
It saved me from boredom. Alas, I already feel it closing in upon me. My life is spent in one long effort to escape from the commonplaces of existence. These little problems help me do so.
And you're a benefactor of the race.
Well, perhaps after all, it is of some little use.